I'm gonna ask you as the person who's married, what's more likely for you to hear? A man with multiple wives or a wife with multiple husbands?
You're going to hear men with multiple wives because it's socially accepted more.
It's socially accepted, but what about in past times?
Same. I think it was more socially accepted for a man to have multiple wives than a woman
Wasn't that
to
in
have.
the Old Testament?
Yeah, I mean, I think that.
What's the difference?
Oh, not different testament. We're going biblical.
We can't.
I don't really know my verses like
I
that,
do.
so don't. She do too. If y'all want to have a war,
I do.
I don't want to have a war.
I don't.
What's your
I know
question?
Genesis 1:1. That's it.
In the beginning.
In the beginning.
Right? I believe that in our religion, it has got lost in translation, and I warrant what I'm about to say. People say, oh, that's in the Old Testaments, this is the New Testaments, and things like that. There are some high-valued men in the Bible that had a lot of favor from God by having multiple wives and multiple concubines. So you can't sit up here and say you want a man of God and not acknowledge the fact that, oh, in this society it's socially accepted, but in the Bible, when you talk about David, when you talk about Solomon, the wisest person in all of earth, he had the most wives anybody has ever had, and concubines. And when David was in battle, he would go back to not only to save his wives, but to go back and protect his concubines. And then we find a way in a situation where we talk about relationships in this day and time and not knowing the realization that the Bible has always been a place where everybody wasn't always married to one wife. Hell, I think a lot of people have to understand this too. Everybody in the Bible wasn't even married.
I don't think everybody should be married. I don't think that's everybody's purpose or calling.
I think we're talking about specifically with men who say, so for me, if you say that you want monogamy, so if you're saying you want a committed relationship, but also if you are a husband, right? I don't care what your value is. If you are a husband, the Bible says what? Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. What did Christ do for...
You said singular or plural?
Because I think he was talking to multiple husbands. I think he was saying men. Not man. He didn't say man, love your wives. He said men, love your wife as Christ loved the church. So what did Christ do for the church? He died for us. So if you say you love me and you are my husband, then you should be willing to die for me, right? As Christ did for you. You can't do that with multiple wives.
So,
because you can't die for me and her.
Oh,
but listen,
Jesus.
No, I'm just saying.
Come on.
I'm just saying. You can't die for me and her.
So if you die for wife number one,
then what's wife number two gonna do?
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Hold on, Cam. You hear what she just said?
But
okay,
that's
I'm
a fact.
sorry.
I'm just saying.
That's a fact, and you serving
that
facts.
was a good one.
But I'm telling you this though. I'm telling you this.
Because if I'm wife number two, I'm pissed.
I'm fucked.
For the the Bible to be so direct, right? I've always stood on this principle. Not to say that I believe in cheating, not to say I believe in polygamy relationships, not to say all that. I'm saying this just for the sake of conversation. It never said one wife. For it to be so specific, it said a wife, right? You can be a wife. You also can be a wife.
To the same man, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
You can be a wife. And in other religions, when we talk about Mormons, when we talk about Muslims, when we talk about Christians, when we talk about Buddhists, when we talk about people in other religions, the common denominator in this, we all have a due diligence to say, do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. In some way, shape, form.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
I don't really believe in that though.
But my point is this.
So just like, I don't want that.
When you talk about the different beliefs and religions, Muslims are able to have multiple wives.
Do you want multiple wives, Cam?
No, I do not.
Just get it out.
And please don't hear my rebuttal or
no,
my
I think it's great
arguments.
for sake of conversation.
Just for
But
conversation.
I'm saying if I'm basing it off of my foundation, if my foundation is Christian, I'm just coming from that. I cannot speak for other religions. I cannot speak for other traditions. All I can speak
The Quran.
for, yeah, I can't.
I'm in the
All I
Bible.
can speak for is for like my faith and where I am.
Right.
And if my word says husbands love your wife as Christ loved the church, then you cannot die for multiple women. That is just, I don't see how that is feasible. I don't see how it's feasible for, and to further that point, then it says, women, honor your husband. Do you know what I mean? But
Yes.
that has to come, but the man loving you has to come first.
Right.
When God came into the Garden of Eden and Adam and Eve just ate the apple and convinced Adam to eat it, or however, God came into the Garden of Eden and asked Adam, what did you do? Even though he's the God who is all-knowing,
Right.
knew what Eve was going to do before she did it, he asked Adam,
Right.
what did you do? He held the man accountable. So our relation, for the word, right, if we're basing it off of that, it is a man's responsibility to carry the weight of the relationship.
Absolutely.
Wow.
It is on you.
Right.
You're going to have to answer to God about the relationship,
Right.
not the woman.
And let's speak on just, even if it was a girl and another female's relationship merging, or a man and another man relationship merging, it still has its principles. And I'm not here to say that's right. I'm not here to say that's wrong. I'm not here
Yeah.
to say what I'm believing in. I just want to have a sake of healthy conversation where I'm sitting in the presence of two, what do you call it? War dogs?
What are we?
African wild dogs.
African wild dogs.
Shout out to TJ, ET's side preacher. He always said African wild dogs are like, you know, they always think that what he said, the lion
is the king
is
of the
king of the jungle, but it's really the African wild dog, because the lion, you know, feasts for itself, and the African wild dog will wait for hours and hours, and he brings stuff back for the team and the village. So we two African wild dogs.
Yeah, the wild dogs. Full of wild dogs out there, you know what I'm saying?
Shout out to TJ.
For the sake of that, I think a lot of men are not able to have the dialect with other people who think completely different.
And I love it,
You know what I'm
because it's
saying?
evoking thought in me. Like even the questions you asked, I'm like, would I do that? Would I not do that? You know, it lets
Yeah.
you take those mental notes and really see who you are, what you want, and go deeper with not just conforming to what society thinks is right. What do you want?
Correct.
I don't think everybody should be monogamous. I think you should do what works for you,
For you.
and pair with somebody that has the same foundation.
Right.
Yeah.